The Spoons. There was a woman who died. Her soul left her body and floated up to heaven. She knocked at the gate of the archangel. It was a huge, solid wooden door. And when it opened, it creaked on its ancient, rusty hinges. When the archangel saw the woman, he took a large intake of breath and said, "So you've finally come. We've been dreading your arrival." "What do you mean?" said the woman. "Dreading my arrival?" "Well," said the archangel, "you know it's my job to direct people to heaven or hell. The problem is that in your case, we just don't know what to do with you." "What do you mean you don't know what to do with me?" "Well," replied the archangel, "you know we have scales for these matters, a huge set of scales upon which we place all the good you've done on one side and all the bad on the other. Whichever side is heavier decides whether you will go up to heaven or down to hell. So, in your case, this is our problem. When we weigh your life, the scales are exactly balanced. It's never happened before, so we don't know what to do with you." "Don't know what to do with me? So where am I going to go then? What are you going to do about it?" "We thought we'd let you choose." The woman was stunned for a moment. "Me choose? You're joking, aren't you? Me choose whether I go to heaven or hell?" "Yes," said the keeper of the gate. There was a huge, long pause. Finally, the woman asked, "What's the difference? What's the difference between the two?" "Between heaven and hell? There's no material difference. None at all," replied the keeper of the gate. "None? None at all? You're joking." No, I'm not. This is not a joking matter. We want you to choose which place you would like to make your eternal home." There was another huge long pause. Finally, the woman said, "Are you sure there's no difference?" "Well," said the archangel, "would you like to see for yourself and then make up your own mind?" The woman nodded. "Where would you like to start, up or down?" "I think up," she said. "Fine. Now we're talking of big places here. Where do you want to start?" The woman looked puzzled. "Let me help you. What were your passions when you were alive?" "Oh, that's easy," said the woman. "Food and drink." "We'll start with the restaurant then." The woman nodded, and together they entered the celestial elevator. The celestial restaurant was many floors up. Even before the elevator doors opened, the woman could smell delicious aromas, smells that brought a sense of joy and abandonment to her whole being. When the doors opened, she saw huge long tables covered with plain white cloths and simple benches on either side. On the benches sat rows of relaxed, friendly-looking people, smiling, well-fed, and chatting amiably to each other. On the tables themselves were large silver tureens containing soup from which the delicious aromas were emanating. She became aware of her desire to eat, to taste the food that smelt so wonderful. She noticed a sense of space willing to be filled in the center of herself and the presence of saliva in her mouth. And then she noticed something unusual. There was no cutlery. No cutlery on the tables. No knives, no forks, no teaspoons or dessert spoons, only very long silver serving spoons. But these spoons were huge. Each one was at least 1.5 meters in length. The archangel asked her opinion. "Wonderful," she said. "But now I'm curious to look at the other place to see for myself whether it really is the same." Down they went in the infernal elevator. She was surprised to notice no difference in either pressure or temperature. And even before the elevator doors opened, at the infernal restaurant, the woman could smell the same delicious aromas she had experienced in the celestial restaurant. Smells that brought the same sense of joy and abandonment to her whole being. When the doors opened, she saw the same long tables covered with plain white cloths and simple benches on either side, just as before. On the tables here were also large silver tureens containing the soup from which the delicious aromas were emanating. She became aware once again of her desire to eat, to taste the food that smelled so wonderful. She noticed the same sense of space willing to be filled in the center of herself and the presence of saliva in her mouth. And she noticed the same unusual situation with the cutlery. Neither forks nor knives, no teaspoons nor dessert spoons, only the very long silver serving spoons, each one at least 1.5 meters in length. And then she noticed that there was a difference. She had been so taken with the smells of the food, the elegant simplicity of the dining arrangements, and the curiosity of the cutlery, that she hadn't noticed the silent and baleful atmosphere. On the benches sat rows of people sitting opposite each other, as in the celestial restaurant. But whereas those in heaven were relaxed, friendly-looking people, smiling, well-fed, chatting amiably to each other, these were completely different. These people were sullen and baleful and staring meanly and suspiciously at each other. And even though the soup in the tureens was as plentiful on these tables as it was in the heavenly restaurant, these people looked starved, emaciated, and as if they hadn't eaten for weeks. The woman turned to the keeper of the gate. In every respect except the people, the restaurants in heaven and hell are the same. Yet here, even though there is plenty, the people are starving and angry. What's the difference that makes the difference? The archangel said, yes, I mentioned to you that there was no material difference. I neglected to mention attitude. The difference is in people's attitude. You have seen the spoons? The simple fact is that down here in hell, people are trying to feed themselves. Up in heaven, the people take pleasure in feeding each other.